The poem is Ordinary Road, and it was out of a book I'm working on called Appalachian Sutra. A sutra is a meditation. And this is dedicated to APC and ADC. Ordinary Road. 1. This red field yields the best bright leaf west of Richmond. As farmers fuss about the weather, whether it's too dry for planting or too wet. Recalling the summer of '39 when rain came like a missionary to the land. Each ring around the harvest moon or unseen southern cross below the horizon is a sign. St. Patrick's, the time to plant potatoes, and when Jesus rose to seed tobacco. Each harvest done by firelight is strung by women who speak of pickling in the prickly heat, as men set curing fires for the all-night vigil in the racked, stacked barn of cut oak and dog, with wood split and stacked just outside the door. Children break from chores to watch the bull stud just beyond the barn. Supper spread on a makeshift table as the dark settles the landscape like crow on each leafless limb. It's time for gossip, plied by a lone fiddle and banjo, with a hitherto a shine as their quiet whine weaves thick as wood smoke across the vacant field. 2. Or that's the myth anyway. Reality is always darkest just before dawn. Moonshine run below the graveyard spring flow as fire crackles each story alive and wheezed for. Hard to believe what's a secret or a curse. Corn run through and sit clean, then capped in glass bottles and stacked in a fruit box in the truck's bed. The next morning, still dazed, Latham cuts his finger clean through and the sawmill screeched and moaned. He wraps the stub in an oil rag to get the sawing done, then calls his boys from the backfield to hitch the horsed wagon, drops his finger in his pocket, and takes the wagon to town. Pain is the only throbbing prayer accounted for in his bottom line. Like his mama's daddy in that earlier time, when his heart's hurt was compromised, his pain meant revenge. Old man Cobgood waited at the crossroads for his wife to ride by, sitting too close to the preacher for the sake of modesty, and their buggy ride home from church. So he righted the situation with a buckshot blast and a curse that blew the preacher off the bench seat and left his wife blood splattered and unforgiven with shot lodged in her offending arm. Jealousy is a good reason to murder even a preacher man if honor is at stake. And if the money is right, even gunfire is forgivable in the eyes of the law. Cobgood got only 10 months of prison time for justifiable homicide. Justice, too, is blind to this type of sin in the backcountry's court of righteousness. Death comes to everyone anyway in time. 3, even to the young, like the baby born dead, buried by lantern light in the front field that spring just before the red bud bloomed. Or the child born later who choked on a baby rattle in his crib while mother was cooking dinner in the back kitchen, he still haunts that room. And each child born after still plays with him in the long quiet of an afternoon when the light's just right. Grandma, though, could never let him go and was taken to the asylum in Petersburg for crying night after night each spring when the dead would gather at the foot of her bed, listening to her weeping, their faces illuminated in the moonlight that no one else could see. 7 babies in 7 years, and she 20 years her husband's younger. Each morning she'd wait to stoke the cook stove before the stroke of dawn, fix them a mess of eggs, gravy, and biscuits before their field work begun, then cook and clean after the dusk when everyone was sleeping. Exhausted, She'd sneak away after bedtime to the porch to spit snuff in a can and to listen to the lone whippoorwill in the trees down in the barnyard. Now, old and silent, she rocks by the window watching robins. The rain-veined red clay bleeds into furrows beyond the barn as she weaves and then unweaves her yarn for the dead baby's blanket she'll never finish, waiting for someone whose name she whispers under her breath. 4. Down the road after supper, while his wife and children watched dialing for dollars, her third son, Alex, set his book straight, sipped whiskey by the wood stove, and then, still in his work boots and coveralls, shot himself on the bedroom floor. After his body was taken by the ambulance, his younger brother buried what remained near the pear tree, then wrapped the shard of skull in a handkerchief, a keepsake he placed in his dresser drawer. Each fall, when the sycamore limbs shed bone white in the moonlight, he sips his brandy, unwraps the shard, and holding it to the light, remembers the 3 nights he dreamed the same dream of a falling star, foreshadowing a family member's death. Dreams became the omens he's come to believe in, closer to God, more real. 5. Now cows push their noses through the barbed wire and turn to watch me flicker cardinal-like between cedar and sassafras before disappearing along the highway's bend on my way home. Drooling, they lumber towards the low ground ooze of mud and manure. I pass a vacant porch, the rocking chair still beside the churned plastic flowers. I can smell the coming rain as I watch the sky darkening west from Lynchburg, the light among the corn stalks pale too. Driving the back road home this evening, I see the blue glow of a television from each darkened front room I pass. Across the fields, cows rise and fall in my headlights as the radio pulls me home with another country song. The road unspooling before me disappears in the dark as crickets lace the night alive. Thank you.